Okay, hopefully I can make this video quick. Okay, so I made a quilt block, and under this cotton I have 2 layers of Polymesh cutaway, which I'm not going to cut away, I don't think, for the quilt block, so I just trimmed it to the quilt block size. I actually want to try to make another one, so that's why I'm doing this, to show you how I'm going to do that again. So I've got 2 layers of the cutaway Polymesh, and I will put it in the frame. Doesn't really matter if it's straight or not because I'm going to be trimming the block down. I will start to put it in. I need to loosen it a little bit more. Put it in, and so it's pretty tight already, the screw, so I'm just gonna go around gently without, making it too, I don't want to pull it like to stretch it or anything, but I'm gonna make it taut, make it straight, get my screwdriver to really tighten down the frame. It will sometimes cause it to wrinkle in some spots, so I just kind of check it. If it is, I just straighten it out. Okay, so before I do any taping, I'm going to use these T-pins like that, T-pins. I put 2 on each side, so I go right into the edge of the frame as close as possible and push. Sometimes it'll come out and sometimes it doesn't, which it doesn't matter if it does, as long as it's nice and snug. So then I do another one, keeping the T part nice and flat against the frame. If it does come out, that's great. I feel like that's even better, but sometimes it doesn't, and I'm not too worried about it. So then I'll do one there. I might have to upload this video to YouTube because it might be too long for Facebook, but we'll see how that goes. If it doesn't want to go in like this one, but it's getting stuck on the frame. Oh, there we go. Okay, got that one in. So I got 2. So this should be enough to keep the Polymesh from pulling back in, like you said, that you crank your thing down as much as possible, and so do I, but this stuff is very slick, so unless you're gonna wrap your hoop with something, it still, with the vibration, can move. So that's why I do that. 2 pins on all sides. Then I will further go, just because I know that these little critters I'm going to be embroidering are kind of dense. I actually also just put some on the hoop, some masking tape on the hoop, and then also just press it on the fabric. It's just like an extra reassurance. And also, I can trim this down just to get the Polymesh closer, and then I could also pull it around, not this long, but pull it around once I trim it and tape it to the back, just to really make sure. And for your item, if your item's going to be 60,000 stitches or whatever, quite a few stitches, that's a lot of time and vibration on the hoop. So I will go ahead and trim it right now, just so I can show you how to tape it on the back as well. Just because, some people might say it's overkill or a lot of work, but you know what? It's worth it to avoid any heartache. So, like I said, wrap this around You don't have to do it everywhere, but just grab it, tape it. And this is the hard part of the frame, so I can push on it and not worry about loosening that up. Pull this over. I'm not going to do it all the way around, just in a couple of spots. So I'll finish the rest in a minute. Okay. And you could also do this. I did this the other day. Put some tape horizontally like that, or perpendicular to it, and then wrap it around, since I have this flat part to work with. So that's just going to help this not be able to jiggle out of the frame at all. And it's just really worth it for me to do that. And that way, you know, when you do have to take the thing off to refill your bobbin, or you have issues like needle breaks or whatever, and you're forced to stop and remove the frame, you don't have to worry about having anything shifting on you, so that when you put the hoop back into the machine, it should pick up right where it left off, and there should not be any issues with misalignment when it restarts. So I feel like this is pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and add one more piece right there, just because. Yeah, so that's it. That is how I get it ready. And then my piece of cotton, which I pre-shrank it, and then it's dirty with some lint. I pre-shrank it, and then I used Best Press on it twice. So I sprayed it with the Best Press starch, ironed it dry, sprayed it again, and then ironed it dry. So now the next design I'm going to do, it's going to be too large. It's going to fill almost the whole thing, so I will not be able to do a basting stitch because my machine will tell me to switch to a larger hoop. So in this case, what I will do, sometimes I would pin it, but in this case I'm not going to. I'm going to use Spray and Bond basting adhesive. It's cheaper than 505. It's the temporary in the purple and white can. And then you can usually I will put paper towels over here so I don't get overspray on my thing, on my frame, but I'm not worrying about it right now for this video. So I'll just spray some there, kind of let it air dry for a minute to get tacky, and then I will lay this on. Again, I'm going to be trimming this, so it doesn't have to be perfectly centered because this is going to be a quilt block, but I want to get it pretty close, top and bottom. And that it is. So then I'm pressing the fabric down onto it. And what I was thinking the other day, since I could not put a basting stitch on the embroidery machine, is literally just taking this to my sewing machine and doing a stitch around the outside. Because my sewing machine, you know, has no idea what I'm doing and doesn't know if it's allowed or not. So, of course, it won't be as big of a basting stitch, but, you know, I should be able to put a big enough stitch that I could pick it out once I'm done. But this other quilt block I did not have a basting stitch at all, and it just did perfectly fine. As long as you get enough of this spray to hold it down all the way to the edge, then it's going to be perfectly fine. So I hope that was helpful, and good luck with your project.